Hey there, I'm Brittany Schroeder, and business and marketing are my jam. I'm here to walk you step by step through this crazy thing we call business. I'm a small town girl, chocolate eating, Diet Coke drinking mom, marketing guru, automation Jedi, and all around good time. This is your weekly dose of all things business and life, sprinkled with some fun. This is the Redefine Business Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Redefine Business Podcast. I'm so excited for my guest. We recently fell in love at first sight it wasn't love at first sight, on Instagram. So we met through Instagram. And Elizabeth was a speaker at my Fusion Collective Summit, and we totally meshed and hit it off. And I feel like we have really good chemistry with each other. Not really love, but you get it. You get the point. But welcome to the podcast, Elizabeth Marberry, Instagram genius, mentor, coach, all things. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Woohoo! I'm super pumped. And yes, it totally was like love at first sight energetics of we were connecting in the DMs and we were kind of like, wait, I like you. You're my jam.
Yeah. Well, and y'all have to go and check out Elizabeth's website because you'll see what I'm talking about. But she is like a party, and even like her brand is she's just like a good time. So we connected and we have our energy matches each other. But so it was super fun. Elizabeth, tell my listeners just a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And before I do, I just want to say the summit was so much fun. I loved being there. I loved all the speakers you brought. You are a total baddie in all the things you're creating and all the things you're up to. So I'm just so honored to be on your podcast. So thank you for having me. Okay. So hi, everyone. I am Elizabeth Marberry. I own two businesses. I own a brick and mortar dance studio here in Denver, Colorado called Wedding Dance Coach. We have been in business for 14 years. And like many of you, when I first started, I was wearing all the hats. I was cleaning the floors. I was teaching every lesson. I was doing the sales and marketing. I was doing everything. Really had no idea what I was doing, but just one step at a time. 14 years later, I have a team of employees and a studio manager, and I get to be in my CEO visionary seat, which is definitely more my zone of genius now. And that is so much fun. So love the wedding industry. I love being a part of that whole community. And then because of what happened, which was we went all in on our social media marketing efforts. So I was stuck at 650 followers on Instagram for my dance studio business for years. Seriously, I was just like, what is the point of even posting on social media? I don't even get it, And then when Reels came to the scene, I was really excited because dance, as you can imagine, it's very well positioned for video, right? And so when Reels hit the scene on Instagram, we started to really go all in on our Instagram marketing. And fast forward to today, basically within 12 months of us going all in, we grew our following to over 55,000 followers on Instagram, almost 40,000 on TikTok. And while I was doing that, I was also growing my personal brand page on Instagram, which is the one that Brittany's referring to, where I'm dancing in my kitchen. And I actually just posted a video today of me dancing in thigh highs because I was just feeling very extra today. I didn't film that today, but that was from a while ago. But anyways, so long story short, grew my following. And what was more impressive than that, because we all know that followers don't necessarily equate to sales in business, is within that 12-month period, we had an 84% increase in our revenue. And because we had this killer lead magnet, this freebie, we got over 4,000 people on our email list that year. And we continue to rinse and repeat those strategies and systems. And it's been a total game changer for my business. And now in my second business, I am an Instagram marketing mentor. So essentially, I'm helping to teach other owners, small business owners, entrepreneurs, how to leverage Instagram in their organic, meaning no paid ads, marketing strategy, so they can reach more of their dreamboat clients and make more money doing their soul-led work.
Yeah. And she's awesome. And well, and I love that you talk about like the organic part of it, because I think a lot of times like there is a misconception, because lots of people do run ads, and like you said, followers doesn't always convert to revenue. So I love that you said that. So what are you seeing? Like, give my listeners like 3 tips on Instagram. Like, so we kind of have talked about this. We did at the summit a little bit, but like what's working with Instagram right now?
Yeah. So there's some tried and true things that will always work on Instagram. So I'll kind of talk about that. And then I can also share some things that are really currently trending, as in, April, May of 2024. So the tried and true things that always work on Instagram is 3 different forms of content. One is, and this is doing really well, especially this year, is educational content. So I'm sure you're seeing more of those talking head videos of people speaking directly to the camera. There's captions on the screen. They're teaching a very specific topic in their video. It's 60 seconds or less. Those are doing really well. You can also do educational content that is not you speaking to the camera. It could be you B-roll and then a hook, and then you're educating them in your caption. That can work really well. But educational content, if you can teach someone something new that builds that know, like, and trust factor, they're going to click on your profile. They're going to go over to your page. And here's the key. Your bio has to be totally optimized. Your page has to be totally optimized. So if I look at your bio, I know exactly who you help, how you help them. And then I look at your feed and I see if all of the content on your feed delivers on the promise of your bio. If all of those things are speaking to me and I'm your ideal prospect, I will totally give you a follow. And that's really how it works on Instagram. So there's that one piece of educational content. The second piece of content that does really well is inspirational, motivational content. So, those quotes or those audios that are just like really moving and really emotional. Those are great audios to use if you want to tell your story. I'm actually working on a reel right now. And I can't remember the audio for it. I'm like blanking on it, but it's kind of like this whole thing of like, get started today, don't wait. And so I'm going to be doing kind of a behind the scenes of my story of how I first got started filming videos and how I was not good at it. And you'll see it on camera. You'll be like, oh my gosh, Elizabeth looks so clunky and she doesn't know what she's doing. And then I want to visually show, the story, the behind the scenes of my evolution. So my ideal client can see themselves, if they're in a beginning stage of trying to master video content, they're going to see themselves. So that kind of inspirational, motivational content does really well. The third type of content that does really well is the entertaining, relatable, funny content. So if you can be relatable, if you can make people laugh, they love it. And especially I love that. I love using that in my brand because it really helps me to showcase my personality. Like you said, I like to have fun. I like to make fun of myself. I don't take myself too seriously. And I like to just take up space and kind of be in people's face. And that's really fun for me because I do that because I want to encourage my audience to do that as well. I want to encourage a lot of people I work with are female business owners who want to take up more space, but they're really nervous and they're really self-conscious and they want to be more bold. So part of my, I try to be funny, I try to be inspiring and entertaining, and that kind of entertaining content performs really well on Instagram.
Oh, you're funny. You're funny, girl. You are funny. Well, the other thing I was going to say is, what's interesting that I have noticed, and it's hard with like the reach, but it's also important to like be able to read and understand your analytics because, for example, like I will do a lot of tutorials and they take a lot of time to do. But I don't get good engagement on them as far as comments and likes. But when I look at the analytics, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I got 50 like saves on this, like people are liking this. And so it does feel like, and I need to like practice like what I preach. I need to put out what I want to attract. But I'm also like wondering, like, are people just not engaging as much anymore? Is there, because we have all these people who, they're looking at our stuff, that they like your stuff, but people just aren't liking or commenting, which it could be like your call to action, your hook. It could be like a variety of different things. But I do think that understanding your analytics also helps too, that like, hey, people do like this stuff. They might not be commenting or engaging, but people do like this stuff. So your analytics are really important.
Yeah, I have been noticing that lately when I'm scrolling on Instagram is I'll see someone's video and I'm like, oh, this is so good. And then I look and they have like 10 likes and I'm like, how is this video only getting 10 likes? It's so awesome. Yeah. So I do feel like there's something going on with that right now. I do, I've been creating content really consistently on Instagram, specifically Reels are my zone of genius for the last 3 years, almost every single day. And I have definitely ridden the waves of like, oh my gosh, there's so much, like, I feel like people are finding my account. And then there's those moments or months where it just feels like I'm screaming into the void. And I'm like, where'd all my people go? Like, what's going on? And so I think that that's normal. And I agree with you. I believe that like Instagram is always changing. It's just always changing. So part of it is studying your content, seeing what's performing well. Yes, looking at your analytics to look at like the saves and the shares, because you're right. I've had that happen before too, where I posted an informational video and I'm like, oh my gosh, it didn't seem to get a lot of engagement. And then you see all those saves and you're like, yes, that's actually incredible. Like that is so phenomenal. So it does depend on the type of content and what you want people to do with it too, right? Like in your call to action of save this if it was helpful and follow for more. Maybe they just saved it. And so there's like two pieces of this. One is that there's truth and that there's going to be times where just engagement is down or lower. And all along the way, you have to always be pivoting your content to what's working now. So going back to that question of like, what's working now, I'm sure you've seen those memes where it's like, a meme and then you put your own caption on the video. So like I posted one of Taylor Swift's album recently, came out this last week. And it's like her music video. And she's talking about how she's like, I love you, but I hate that I love you or something like that. So I did my own caption of, point of view when you're a business owner and you have a love-hate relationship with social media, because that's so relatable, right? So that is trending right now on Instagram. Who knows how long that will work? Probably like a few more weeks or a month or two, but like, that's not going to be forever, whereas unless that's what your account is, like some accounts are only memes, right? So there's those pieces that are always trending. I think the hardest part, and it's something I'm always trying to coach myself through, is how do I keep showing up no matter what is happening externally with the analytics? Because I'm sure this happens to you, Brittany, all the time, where you might run into someone in real life and they're like, oh, Brittany, I love all of your videos and I love your podcast and I love this. And you're just like, wait, you haven't liked one thing I posted ever.
Does
that happen to you?
Yes. I'm like, well, and it's so funny because sometimes people make comments about my podcast. I mean, this is like kind of side note, and I'm like, oh, I forget that people listen to my podcast. You know what I mean? Well, because I think it's different because it's like with Instagram, you can see, and like, then you have that instant gratification, and podcasting, you put it out there and it's just kind of like, okay, it's out there, but you know what I mean? But I agree that but then it makes me like step back and say like, okay, I need to give what I want to receive too. And I need to be better at, supporting other women and supporting other small businesses because I want that back. You know what I mean? So it's just a good reminder to like, you can't ask for something if you're not like doing your part too. So, but yeah, I agree that and I agree with you that that's like being an entrepreneur is like, just pushing through it, because, it's interesting because I will do like a kind of a cleanup of my Instagram because I want to engage with people who are like, like currently in it. And I'll occasionally go through and I'll look at people seeing them like they haven't posted for a year and I'll unfollow them. Like I'll clean it up a little bit because I want to engage with people that are like on Instagram. And I'm surprised at like so many people do just like give up. And I think you have to push through it because it's like what you said, it's always changing. And so tomorrow it could be something different. Also, like invest your time in where you're getting an ROI too. And if you're not getting a return, like don't spend a ton of time. But it's also a free marketing tool. You can connect with people, and even, like another thing is how to use Instagram in your business is kind of what we talked about, is getting noticed and reach, but it's also a tool to collaborate. Like, look, that's how we connected, was on Instagram. And so you have to use it for like different things in your business. And collaborations are like essential in a business. Find collaborations, find people who you could work together with and do cross marketing. Like, we have the same ideal client, but we're not in competition. It's a beautiful collaboration where, we're on the same page. We have the same work ethics, all of the things. And so, like, don't just write it off because you're not getting comments and likes and, like, pivot, but also know that there's other ways to use it. Don't just get in a box and only think of it for one thing.
I love that. I love that so much. That's so true. There are so many different benefits to using it, and absolutely collaborating and meeting people. I mean, part of why I love having a podcast is I get to cold DM people that I just like really admire and respect.
Yeah.
And be like,
same.
Hey, you want to come be on my podcast? And it's like the most fun. And I don't take it personally if they can't, or they don't want to, or they're, they don't respond, whatever. But you would be amazed at how many people do respond and how many people are really eager for connection. And I think that's what keeps me going, is I try to always remember the human element of social media.
Yeah.
Like, if we can keep that focus on that human connection piece, because that's what we want, right? Like, we want to connect. We want to find our ideal client prospects. We want to find other colleagues. Like, I know I've been really intentional in the last couple of years about building a circle of other really ambitious female entrepreneurs who are up to really big things, who've done big things in their life, and who are continuing to go after those big visions and goals. And I seek those people out because I want to surround myself with other people who are also going after like impossible dreams. So that's part of why I was so excited to meet with you and be in your summit and meet with the other speakers. And that is just so life-giving. And the number one mindset that you have to have if you want to be successful in business and if you want to build your brand on social media is the long game mindset. For sure. Like, so many people, they reach out to me. They're like, I'm so frustrated. I don't have any engagement. I don't have this. I don't have that. And they've been posting in their niche for like 6 months. And I'm like, I was stuck at like 1,000 followers for like a year. And I was posting every single day just to like, A, figure out who is my audience, B, figure out what kind of content do I like to create? What am I good at creating? What does my audience resonate with? Like, you're not going to figure this out right out the gate. You just have to go and do it and have it be messy, and you're going to fall on your face, and it's going to be imperfect, and it's not going to perform well. And most people give up at that point, right?
Yeah.
And if that's you, that's totally fine. But then you need to just like go get a job somewhere. If you want to create your own brand,
no joke.
You have to show up and you have to be consistent and you have to keep going, even when there's no evidence that it's working. Like, that is the biggest like shift, is like, even when there's no evidence. And it's so hard, especially when you're trying to pay your bills, right? You're trying to pay your mortgage. You're trying to put food on the table. Like, that is all real. And I'm not trying to like minimize that, because that is totally real. But what I also tell people is, like, if you want to make more money, you can do it on Instagram. It's not going to happen for you overnight, though. And I think that's what makes me nuts is when people think like, oh, I'll just do it for a few months and oh, it's not working out. It's just like, girl, you got to be in the game for like years.
Well, right? We talked about this a little bit in our VIP panelist thing, where we're like, there is no easy button. We get clients, but there's not one place like that. I'm getting clients from my email list, from my social media, from networking, from referrals. Like, it's not, there isn't just an easy button. It's like you have to do the things, but it's the long game, like consistently, like you have to be putting yourself out there. And, I actually just recorded a podcast earlier this week, and I was talking about pivoting in your business. And I was reading statistics, and it was saying that in the first year of business, 20% of small businesses go out of business. 20% in the first year. In the second year, 30%. By year 5, I can't remember, but by year 5, I think it was like 50%. And by year 7, it's like 80%. So it's just like, but it's like, you got to push through it. And I think you have to be able to pivot too. You have to be able to say, okay, this isn't working. I need to change. I need to try something else. I need to constantly be in a state of learning and, just open to new ideas and trying different things and being okay to fail. And so with Instagram, if there's one thing we can guarantee is change. It's always changing. And so you have to be willing to try different things and don't get stuck in those ruts. Try different things. So I love that. So awesome. Well, this has been like so good. Elizabeth, tell people how they can get a hold of you, how they can work with you, what you're like working on right now. Tell us all the things.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, you like everything is housed on my website, so you can check that out. Elizabeth Marberry, MARBERRY.com. And I have a really incredible free guide that I cooked up, and it's phenomenal. It's called Monetize Your IG, 7 Simple and Proven Ways to Finally Make Money on Instagram. And in this guide, I break down the exact strategy that I implemented to grow my company's combined account following to over 120,000 followers and increase our revenue and build our email list. It is really, there's lots of valuable information in there and lots of pro tips. So if you want that guide, you can DM me the word money on Instagram. And yeah, if we're not connected on Instagram, please connect with me there and send me a DM money, and I can send you that check or that free guide, because it's awesome. I've gotten a lot of great feedback, and I would love to give that to your listeners.
Yeah, awesome. And we'll put her website and information, Instagram, in the show notes as well. So, okay, Elizabeth, I like to end all of my shows with asking my guests 2 questions. So the first one is, what is your pet peeve?
Okay, my pet peeve is when all of the reels that I see on Instagram that are people who are like, I made 10K in the last 7 days and you can do it too. And it's just like, I hate that like clickbaity messaging, because while yes, it is possible, for most people, that's not going to happen. And it's going to kind of position people for failure. And so I hate that like marketing clickbaity energy. So that is definitely my pet peeve.
Yeah, that's mine too. That's mine too. Okay, what is a simple pleasure?
Ooh, a simple pleasure is, I recently discovered this about myself. So I have been buying myself fresh flowers to sit on my desk. And I have like never would have done this before, because I would have thought like, what a luxury. Like you don't, that's like, you don't need to spend money on that, or like whatever story I had in my mind. But I have been doing it, and I kind of have this funny game I play where if I'm at Target or if I'm at the grocery store, I look at the flowers, and if I can find like a really pretty bouquet for like $5 to $7, I get so excited. It's not that I wouldn't spend $20 on a bouquet, but I'm just like $5 to $7. I don't know why. It's just fun.
That's another simple pleasure, is finding cheap flowers.
A deal. Yes. Like getting a deal. It's so fun. Yeah. And so I have these flowers on my desk, and like, I can't believe how happy it makes me. And I'm just like, why haven't I always done this? So it's not that I always have them, but like a lot of times I do. And it's just such a simple pleasure.
I love that. Well, Elizabeth, you again are just a good time. And thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Everybody check out Elizabeth. She is awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Let's not stop the party here. Head on over to my Instagram or Facebook group, Redefine Your Business, and let me know your thoughts about today's show. I will see you again, same time, same place, next week.